Archer is fantastic. I definitely consider her a friend.
We got to hold the line against the other team, and it was very cool.
You just want to make content and just have something you can look back on. You win.
All of that time and energy. I'm just so happy, so grateful to have been there to experience this.
Why, hello to all my fellow nerds, and welcome back to another episode of Fast Tracked, a brand new podcast dedicated to the phone flinging community and the people that make it awesome. My name is Archer. How's it going? Once again, I'm your dedicated veteran, admin, world-class queen of the hype, and host of Fast Tracked. I should probably stop saying that this is a new podcast because it's been around for a minute, even though I haven't been around for a minute, but I digress. We're working on that. I got engaged. I was trying to survive for the past year, but we are here. We are queer, and we're killing it. Heading back into the scene of things, and it's been quite a year, I will say. I'm thankful, humbled, and blessed by everything that's been going on in 2025, including finally, after 6 years, the opportunity in getting to go to Ragnaroktoberfest in San Jose, California in just a few short days. Kind of insane. I am on here tonight, however, along with the two captains that make up the Magic Space Whales coalition, because being on Magic Smoke, I am on Magic Smoke, we have a friendly alliance with Orca Company. Those guys kick ass. We kick ass. It's just natural that these sort of things would come to happen. And we have been mashing up our rosters for the second half of the competitive season this year. And I was genuinely curious on what it takes to bring together two major teams in the circuit, as far as logistics go, coordinating with team members who might be on the other side of the country, for example, and how we just communicate in shenanigans, how we communicate on the field, and how we vibe as one big team as a whole. So let's get right to it. Tonight we're going to be talking to the two captains of Magic Space Whales. The first one is going to be Jeremy, who otherwise goes by Junior online in the holy lands of Discord. He started Orca Company in 2021 from a group of HVZ players who first appeared at Cold War. They all came together at Cold War. They showed up, they took names, and have been part of a comp team ever since. He's been into the nerf hobby and began modding since 2015. He started running the Sunshine Dart League in college and has been involved with that organization ever since. In his opinion, the biggest reason for the team's growth and success is that it really is just a big group of friends at the base of the team who want to come together, have fun, enjoy the hobby for what it is. We are also going to be talking to Jesse. Jesse is the captain of Magic Smoke, an admin for the Maryland Foam Alliance, and co-captain of Magic Space Whales. Give him a links, and his call sign, Flankmaster, suddenly starts to make sense. He began competing with his team, Magic Smoke, in 2022, who, like Orca Company, was a group of friends who hailed from the Maryland region and has been competing in tournaments all over the U.S. and Singapore ever since. Thank you both for coming on to the podcast tonight. Really, really excited to get in the thick of things. But my first question that I wanted to kind of start this episode with, that I love to ask all of my guests, is how did you get into the hobby and why nerf?
Yeah, so how's it going? Like Archer said, Jeremy, I go by Junior. I got into the hobby in middle school, actually. So little bit ways to go, and I cracked open a Maverick and looked at some videos online, watched a Drac modding tutorial, and that was kind of, it went from there. I had played with blasters growing up, started modding my first blaster then, and just kind of kept going with that, and modded my first flywheeler in high school, when I worked up the courage to use a soldering iron, started going to casual games, and went to casual games, was like, oh, I enjoy this, and then went to my first HVZ in 2019, went to Cold War in 2021, had already been wanting to get into comp, played it, liked it, started hosting comp events through Central Florida Art Wars, which was our local club that a lot of us attended at the time, ran by Ernest. Really cool dude. He really likes that casual scene, getting people started, and then bounced into Sunshine Dart League, started running that. And it's just been great since then. We've had Orca and Beef Squad working side by side to train for tournaments. So it's been really good to have a consistent group of people to play against and learn fields and strategies. And so it's just evolved since then and grown into having friends with more teams. We're really tight with Magic Smoke now, which is awesome. Tight with the Nebula crew. Like, we've just had all these friends come from so many places as we started to go to more and more tournaments. And so that's kind of where we're at now with all these events that we keep going to these HVZ events, have a little bit of fun, and then go play some comp and duke it out and see who's the best. So
Hey, how's it going, y'all? Jesse. How I got into the hobby
Very
and
nice.
kind of what brought me over to the comp side. So started out in the hobby in 2014 when I started a Nerf club in college. I mean, I played with Nerf blasters and friends before that, of course, but I would say that would be when it really became a big hobby for me. Found out about HVZ. I thought it sounded really cool. But the folks that were running HVZ at my school previously in 2014 were super seniors who were really focused on graduating. So they said, "Here's the rules doc and like the flyers we used. Go nuts, run the game." So that first game was a real mess, and it was a lot of fun, and I was hooked, and I just wanted to get better at running games and also playing in them. So I found out I really enjoyed both the playing and the modding sides of the hobby at that point. Um, then I got interested in the comp side in 2020. I was bored during the pandemic on YouTube, and I saw a lot of footage from the 2019 Foam Pro Tour games, and I was like, wow, people are playing competitively, for a prize, and like forming teams and practicing. They're not just showing up and playing casually. Um, so that's really a big step up from the kind of stuff we were just doing in college, which was less organized aside from the HVZ. I saw a lot of potential for more intense game modes, better blaster technology, and like really curating team dynamics kind of in the future of the sport at that time. And I wanted to participate in those developments. Since this is such a new hobby, I think that's one of the coolest parts is we have the ability to shape it ourselves. Um, so I wanted to make my own team with we basically had a group of friends who were good enough that the admins wouldn't let us all play together on the same team casually, so we figured we might have a shot at making a decent comp team. That's kind of how Magic Smoke took off.
It's wild how all three of us have had pretty much beginnings from HVZ, and how the hobby has evolved into competitive. And now the two of you, as I said earlier, are leaders of some of the top teams in the competitive circuit now in 2025. Yeah, I know you dabbled briefly into the things that got you into competitive, but what would you say was a key component that got you hooked into the competitive scene?
yeah, I can go first with that. Big thing for me that kind of got me hooked into competitive is, especially just with the Nerf side of it, is I grew up doing sports. So I grew up playing soccer. I kicked for the football team in high school, but I played competitive soccer, and so I always liked getting outside, going and doing things, and then also my background in college is in mechanical engineering, so I've always loved building stuff. Grew up, Legos, Lincoln Logs, Tinker Toys, you name it. Whatever I could get my hands on, did 3D printing through high school. So that side of Nerf and building stuff and making things was super prevalent. And then being able to go out and compete and play, um, having played sports growing up was great. So I think that's why I loved Nerf compared to some of the other shooting sport hobbies that have less of the maker side and more of the just go buy stuff and play it. Not that they're not great. I love me some airsoft here and there, but I think that was the main appeal for me, is that I could build stuff and then also go out and use it. And I'm super competitive day to day. I love to get stuff done, and I think that really drove it home for me.
I would say the competitive side basically was a for me. It started out as a natural extension of wanting to enjoy the intensity of some of the most difficult casual battles, but just with a group of like-minded people. Because I think one of the biggest challenges of a casual game mode is that you have some people who just kind of showed up and they're not trying that hard. They don't want to, and they shouldn't have to if they don't want to, right? You want people to be able to play like just a relaxed, funny, goofy game. Sometimes you got people like I know our friend Beret, for example, is known for like showing up with silly blasters and like doing funny stuff like that. Um, but ultimately, it's hard for that energy to also play on the same field with people who want to push themselves and try really hard. And personally, like I don't want to be trying really hard if there's people that are also just trying to take it easy because I don't want to ruin their fun. Um, and it's more fun for me as a competitor to play with people who are also taking it seriously. So um, having a competitive format where everybody understands that that's what we're showing up to do, is to show up and compete, was very appealing to me because I can work together with my friends to be as good as we can be and challenge ourselves to just be better than we were last week, without it kind of ruining somebody's casual game
Yeah,
or
not just stomping on a few people.
yeah,
They're out there
yeah,
trying
because
to
like that's
test
not
something they
fun
made
for me
last night,
either.
and you're just stomping them. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Like I want my opponents in casual games to be having as much fun as me. Everybody's winning if that's happening. And but the fact is, when you're competing real hard, sometimes people are somebody's going to be on the losing side of that. I think people with like a true competitive spirit will learn from it and still be able to be happy. And want to see good gameplay no matter what perspective it happens from. Um, but I think, it basically just gives like comp folks, competitive, like minded people, more of a venue to kind of push the limits of what themselves, their blasters, and their team can do in an environment that's appropriate for that. Um, and I think it also like it drives a lot of the hobby forward. You see a lot of new tech comes out from that side, and then makes its way into casuals, as well, and then makes things better for everybody. So I think it's a healthy part of kind of the Nerf hobby as a whole. Um, but it definitely is good that it's its own thing as well. And to be clear, I still really enjoy the casual side. Like you'll see me show up with a Jericho, or I just built a breacher recently for stuff like that. Like I love a good silly blaster and just being able to relax and fling foam with friends. Um, but yeah, having that be separate from the comp side, just helps everybody kind of set their expectations, for what kind of gameplay we're doing, um, and that ultimately enables the gameplay to get more competitive, um, overall. Otherwise, you'd be limited to like how competitive can you be before you're just stomping somebody who just is trying to have fun.
I think it's cool too that Jesse mentioned like 2019 FPT, and you mentioned you guys mentioned some of the technology that's coming from it and how quickly things have changed. If you look back even a couple of years ago, how different some of the different barrel diameters we might be running, or what scar is the most popular, or what darts are people using, and all this and that, like how much things have changed in a few years, and the accessibility to different things. I feel like a lot of that performance driven stuff, like Jesse said, has come from the competitive side, and then it trickles down, and to the point where now you have companies on store shelves that have sealed breeches and scar barrels and all
Mm-hmm.
these things out of the box. Like you can go to a Target and buy a blaster that's got a B car on it. Like
A lot of
that's
that
nuts.
comes from Dart Zone engaging with
Yeah.
us, on the comp side. Like
Yes.
the Dart Zone representatives show up to our games, they talk to us about the technology, and then they also talk to us about modding. That's how you get stuff like the XT60 that was snuck in the back of the Mark III,
Yeah, that was
or
crazy.
there was one that
Yeah.
is it called the Primus? I think that just came out where there's like a hidden piece that makes it into a short dart pusher, and it's just hidden inside until you open it up. Like they do little things like that. You don't see Hasbro doing that. That's because Dart Zone shows up and learns from us.
Yeah, them
Um,
showing up to the tournaments is huge. And then with that too is like competitive. We have where you can go and have your competitive experience. You ball out, you go hard, and then the casual events are a little bit slower paced. More people can get used to it, and you can run silly stuff like you mentioned Jericho. Like that's another one that I love to run when we do silly rounds. Is just running around with a shoulder mounted shotgun blaster. Like it's so dumb, it's great. But with
mhm.
the better blasters being available on shelves too, the casual like level has risen so much. So more people have had easier access into the comp side too. So the people that decide, hey, I want to join those guys, I want to go play some comp, let me see what that's about, they have an easier time transitioning into it. Whereas before, unless you had a printer or purchased from a reliable seller, it was a little bit more difficult to go from maybe that HVZ spec like 100 FPS modded blaster into the 200 250 fps range, whereas now a lot of stuff off the shelf is hitting 140 to 160 easy, and so you might just need a spring swap or a barrel swap, and you're up there hitting close to some of the big dogs. So that level being risen by them as well with that technology boost has been really good for people to be able to get a feel for the competitive scene and dip their toes without as much of an investment in time and money. So I think that's really helped the scene grow by a large amount
Yeah,
too.
Mhm.
I think that's huge, and I love how accessible even the competitive side is of this hobby. Like, if you wanted to get a loadout for competitive, mags, bandolier, everything that is competitive. Like your blaster is no longer what's holding you back when you're new. You could spend $200 or less.
Yeah,
If you bought it used, you could probably spend $50. You look at airsoft, paintball, other kind of PvP sports, you're talking $1,000 to be competitive. So
yeah,
so this
you're
hobby is
dropping a lot
extremely
more right
accessible.
away for sure.
Yeah, and then I do like that, you know, as much as I love Dart Zone, they've not really caught up to what we can make in our basements. So there's still some incentive for people like us who like to tinker with things. My Lynx is just going to hit a better standard deviation, better accuracy than anything you can buy at Target. But it's not so much better that somebody can't make up for that difference with a little bit of skill. Like I get hit by people with Nexus Pros and Strikers and stuff that they just
Mhm.
bought off the shelf. Like they work. And so yeah, I think we're at a good spot in that part of the hobby right now where it's accessible and there's still a little bit of headroom for tuning having some benefit.
Are there regular Maryland players now that, because of those interactions at Smithon with the two fields, that they got more involved with competitive? Is there anybody of note?
I know for DMV for sure. Like Morgan, Austin, Dave, handful of our locals who are pretty common to see on the DMV field like that. Those folks come to mind off the top of my head. There's probably a lot more if I were to think about it for longer, but yeah, we've definitely had people who try a bit of both, and then you just see them frequently on the competitive side, and they'll work on. I talk blasters with people a lot. They're usually working on something to tune it to work a little bit better. I think a lot of casual minded players don't uh, like assess their blaster's performance as much as competitive people do. Like we're actually measuring it with chronographs, measuring the standard deviation, measuring the accuracy, um, and you can tell once people get kind of bit by that bug because they come back and they're talking like, oh, I got my SD down to 5, but I'm shooting for 3, and like trying. What darts do you like? What barrel do you like? They'll ask
Mhm.
questions like that. It's always fun to see.
What was the moment for each of you that first started the idea of bringing, at the time, Orca Company, Magic Smoke, and Nebula together as one?
I think ours will be a little different perspective. So, first time, like, just meeting some of the teams, like, sitting back and being ready to go to MFT 2023, we were like, oh, there's some, like, important teams going. Like, that was actually what encouraged us to go to MFT 23, was like, hey, there's some big teams going. Like, let's put a team together and get out there. And we got there and we saw the teams, and we, had a rough start, but we made it to third place. And then after that, looking back at that footage throughout the year and seeing some of the teams, that was kind of our first introduction into Smoke. Obviously, they took home the win, right? And so from our perspective, we were like, man, like, some of these teams, they kicked ass. Like, I kicked butt. If I'm allowed to say that, sorry.
Yeah, you good.
Okay, so
PG
Demonetized.
13.
yeah, so they went out there and they killed it, and we struggled. We fought for our third, and we were like, all right, we need to come back so much better next year. So we went home, we worked on things, we came back, ran it back, won third in 24, and fell short in a few ways. But even though we got third again, we were like, this was a way more competitive field. Like, the teams have gotten so much better. Like, even though we got third, this third was so much harder than last year. And that kind of, we had an interaction with Smoke after we played him, lost, unfortunately, is what it is. Me and Jesse kind of had an interaction, and even though I was like, man, I want us to win, right? Like, I want us to beat who we're playing, and we played Magic Smoke for a round, and I was like, ah. But after one of the rounds, something me and Jesse have talked about a few times, we had an interaction where the reason I was able to tag him out during one of the rounds in Elims was because I saw his camera, and so I saw it poke out, and I wanted him to go out and do good, and that's something that I stopped wearing a watch during games. I stopped wearing a larger GoPro during games because those things have gotten hit on me. So I had a quick interaction with him and moved on from there. Didn't really think too much of it. And later on, we started going to more similar events and more competitive events, and had more interactions online. Um, and then going into CFT of, what was that, 24? Yeah, so CFT last year. Jesse reached out. Like, we hadn't chatted too much, but Jesse reached out and was kind of asking about putting a East Coast team together with some East Coast players, and also some of Neb too, some of the people on the West Coast. But between Orca and Magic Smoke and Nebula, that kind of brainchild came together, and I got offered a spot on it. And Clint, our coach on Orca Company, great guy, love Clint, was also on it, and so I almost actually didn't go to that event because of a balance between work and school, and ended up being able to make it work. And that was kind of the first time I was on a combined team like that, and it was a great experience, and got to interact more closely with a lot of the players in the other teams that I had looked at and seen as great competitors, seen as good people, make those closer bonds. And I really give a lot of credit to Jesse for pulling that whole thing together and being able to jumpstart what we've developed and turned into as a group now that we have between Magic Smoke, Orca, and Nebula, and going to more events and running mixed rosters at BPOC. And now we've got a combined team going to RAG this year. Well, we also have got Orca going. So it kind of just gives us hey, like, we've got enough, these teams are going, but we also have this group of people that's not, isn't on a specific team, but we'd like them all to play together. And we get together, and we've hung out so many times and done things, and outside of just the competitive scene. But, like, we went to Disney this 2025 CFT, got to hang out with a bunch of wonderful people and just have a good day with friends, just like any other friend group. And I think that's made a lot of the teams, even though we live so far apart and interact so separately on a daily basis, we can come together and enjoy these things and just have a good time. And so I think that's kind of where we're at now, where we can go to an event and just be like, hey, I've got this many players, you've got that many players, we've got this many players on this team, and put them together, mix up, people get to play with different people. I think that's another huge thing about tournaments that are so different from practices too, is that you get to play
Climate.
different people, and you get to interact with different people, and so that's always great every time. And so whether you're playing with different people on the other team or your team, it's a great time. But yeah, so those bonds have just grown a lot. We've gotten to know each other a lot and been through different things and different tournaments, and we'll go head to head, and we're some of the most competitive teams on the field. Every time Orca and Magic Smoke play, like it's an intense match. Like we want to win,
Mm-hmm.
Smoke wants to win. Like both teams are going out there, friends or not. We might be going and staying at the same hotel, same Verbo, whatever afterwards. We're gonna go eat dinner together afterwards. But when we go on that field, like we're gonna go out there and give it our all. And I think that's just the
Absolutely.
best, healthiest competitive like scene that you've got right there, is the fact that we're able to go out there, give it to each other, like have disputes, but like it doesn't even matter at the end of the day whether we liked how something went or not. And it's gone both ways, I'm sure, where we've had things where like, man, I wish I'd gone a different way, and vice versa. But we're able to have the maturity and the competitiveness to go out there, duke it out. Winning team is who moves forward. We accept that, we acknowledge that, we move on, and we have a good time afterwards, and have some really, really good hangouts and cook some good food.
Our round at CFC 2025, the eliminations, that was something insane because we didn't want to play against each other.
Yes.
And here we are playing against each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah, we were like, all right, we need you guys to score this many points in your last round. We'll score this many, and then pray that we're not in it together. And then like just things were slightly off from what we wanted. And we were like, oh my gosh, here we go. Like here it goes.
Welcome
So,
to the real world.
yeah.
Like the only thing is that the tournament won't go how you think.
Yeah. So we clutch out another third, CFT 2025. There we go. Third's never safe when Orc goes around, is all I'm saying. So
Yeah, absolutely. I also think, honestly, as the hobby gets more and more competitive, the differences between first, second, third, fourth in these tournaments is going to come down to really, really small
the
stuff.
margins are so
And
narrow on some of these
yeah,
matches. Yeah.
I think there's nothing wrong with a solid third. I'd say, like, personally, my team, my personal goal as well is be on the podium.
Yep.
Because I think that's what we're capable of wherever we go. Um, and I want to be sure we continue to be capable of that, and keep pushing ourselves. But ultimately, there might be a day that doesn't happen. There might be a day, we're expecting a higher placement and we don't get it. And I think you mentioned a bit about the competitive mindset, Jeremy, but I wanted to expand on that a little bit, because I think that's the biggest thing that's unique about Magic Space Whales. It's formed of teams that have critical mass of players with a true competitor's mindset, where you're dedicated to self-improvement and also lifting up those around you, regardless of what jersey they're wearing, for the good of the sport. And I felt that really come across strongly when you talked to me at MFT, and explained, like, you could see my GoPro coming around the corner. Like, you didn't have to tell me that. You could have just been like, haha, that idiot, like, stuck his GoPro around the corner. I'm going to get him every time with that little trick. But you shared that with me so that I could get better. And that, I think, it's sportsmanlike.
Just being
And
professional.
yeah, it's professional, and like, if you, as a strong competitor, if you're making your other competitors strong, it helps you as well. Like if all I did for practice was beat people that I know I can beat, I am not going to get better. I need to play against people who are better than me. I crave that, actually, as a competitor. Um, and I think that's the difference between the crabs in a bucket kind of mentality you see with folks, who just want to win, versus folks who are there to compete, and who are invested in the competitive side of the hobby as a whole. I do see some people who we play with who have more of the crabs in the bucket feel. But I would say they're in the minority, and we have a healthy competitive culture in this hobby. That's something I really want to encourage. Um, Basically, if you're helping another competitor get better, you're also helping yourself, and you're helping the hobby as a whole. Like there's, and I don't know. I think part of it is also a certain amount of, it takes a certain amount of confidence in yourself. Like there's, if you are confident that you're doing your best, and you're at your best, then helping somebody else out isn't going to be the difference between you winning or not. You already put in the work for that part.
Yeah, and I think too is like if I only beat you by the you not knowing something, I'm not truly better than you, or have I really beat the best version of you? And I think with kind of some of your
Yeah.
stuff with the crabs in the bucket and playing the stronger teams and stuff is it's kind of similar to college football or anything like that. Is you're only as good as the best team that you beat, right? Like if
Mm-hmm.
you go curb stomp a bunch of small schools, then you're not going to be the number one team. You're not going to be up there. Like yeah, you went undefeated. You went and beat these teams, but you're not the best because you haven't played the best. So if you want to
Yeah.
be the best and you want to do better, then you need to play the best. You need to play the harder teams. You need to play, the Magic Smoke and go out there and put on a good showing. And just seeing even our progression as a team is like you guys have been at the top of the competitive teams and been dominating the East Coast, and being able to see us come closer to that and have some hard fought matches that have gone both ways, either for or against us in multiple different
Mm-hmm.
ways, is it just shows our progression. And then also the fact that we've been pushing on each other, I'd say for like the last year, really to really keep progressing in a good way in those tournaments too is crucial to being. I think that's kind of helped us build that mindset and understanding of the game above some of the other teams, with how much, like you said, we care to really improve and not just go out there and just win to win. So
Absolutely, and I think that competitive mindset you discussed also helps you enjoy the game more, because if you know you played your best, then that's your success criteria. So you won't be happy if you beat somebody who wasn't really trying, and
Mm-hmm.
you will be happy even if you lose, if you did your best, and it really sets you up for success in the competitive side of things. It's the same. That's the same mentality I really try to encourage within my team. I think our team members do a good job of internalizing that and understanding it. Um, it keeps you more level-headed when things go wrong. You can encounter disputes and not be mad at the other players. You're just there to figure out what happened. um, and if you lose, like, how hard you worked, so you can be happy for the other team because they worked harder. Like I'll talk about MFT, this last year, Magic Smoke, of course, hoping for the three-peat in first place. That would have been really fun. But we lost to you guys in Orca, and you guys pulled out a crazy comeback. I think we had a dispute over whether or not the flag was run, but frankly, the fact that you guys were in a position to run the flag is huge. Like, we shouldn't have let
Very
that happen at
aggressive
all.
push, yeah.
That. So you guys, the way you played in that match was incredible. And so, like, whatever happens with the dispute process, like, you and I started that by hugging, right?
yeah,
Because however it shakes out, um, whatever whatever happened or wasn't on cameras or whatever really does not matter compared to the fact that both teams went out there and did their best and did some really impressive stuff all around. Um, and so we can all be happy about that game, regardless. um,
I got to
yeah. I
see
think
that.
and
we've had some of the most professional and like calm disputes the hobby's ever seen, because we just go up there and we're like, all
yeah,
right, yeah, well, like we're saying one thing, you're saying the other. Let's figure it out, and whatever ends up being like the facts or whatever the refs can prove is just it's
yeah,
what
either way we're
happens.
friends.
So yeah, at the end of the day,
Yeah.
we're gonna go back and hang out. So and I think
Yeah,
that's
like
really
whether or
been
not a
crazy.
dispute is ruled in our favor or not, like, that doesn't change how I feel like I played. If I
Yeah.
know I did my best, there's nothing a ref can say or another team can say or whatever to change that. And you go into it with the same attitude. You did your best, so you're gonna be happy. Um, and I think that puts people in it, like, when you approach a tournament with that mindset, you're gonna have a better time as a player, and everybody around you is gonna have a better time. Um, you're less likely to kind of freak out or whatever. I think the mental game is huge to the competitive side of this hobby, and I think that's something that Magic Space Whales does the best, is just the ability to, focus on that competitor's mindset, and focus on enjoying the game with friends. It saves us a lot of hassle that could otherwise happen. At the end of the day, our hobbies like comes down to integrity and how people approach it attitude wise, because the projectiles don't leave a mark. It's up to you to go out. It's up to you to play fair, and people by and large do a really good job of that. I think culturally that's something we do really well compared to other shooting sports. I think part of that is because we don't have as much money involved. Nobody's winning $20,000 in a Nerf game. We saw Foam Pro Tour suffer from a lot of disputes when they had a larger cash prize, and when that cash prize went down,
And it
it
wasn't
got a
even that
bit better.
much. It was only like
Yeah, that
10
was
grand
ten
compared to some
thousand
other
dollars
ones. Yeah.
split across 5 to 7 people, and nobody's even paying rent for a month on that in most cases.
Yeah.
But there it is, and yeah. So honestly, like my favorite tournaments are the ones that are not played for stakes. I think MFT has like a small prize pool. That I think will maybe help with gas money if you win.
Yeah.
Like I know we all spend more on that just to show up there. So, like I think that's about as big as it should be, because at the end of the day, you should be in it for the good gameplay and doing your best, competing with friends, not showing up for cash.
And the prize pool thing too is like, I don't even think a single one of us on the team knew what the second place prize was when we won it at MFT this year. We were just like, oh
Yeah,
yeah, we get stuff. Like that's cool. And we walked over and they handed us a
yeah.
few things. We were like, all right, like we had no
Like I
clue.
would play
Bonus,
Nerf
yeah.
just to play Nerf, and you're gonna
Yeah.
drop loot after.
Yeah,
Okay.
like absolutely. So we don't even like look at that. I like we don't sit there and be like, all right, you're gonna get this when we win. You're gonna get that. It's like no, it's here. We're gonna show up. We're gonna go play. Oh, cool. We get to take some fun stuff home. Like works for me. Like it's not the priority. The priority is we want to go play. We want to go compete.
I want to touch on two different instances. Partly because one, I want to I'm adding to the experience that you guys had with MNT and the big dispute that, quite frankly, speaking objectively, went absurdly long. But I'll get into that. And then the second one is more. I just want to find out what happened in that interaction afterwards, because I was busy just kind of dealing with my own thing. But yeah, MFT. So you guys had mentioned that you just hugged each other, and you kind of just went like, all right, we're gonna go through this process, and no matter what happens, like, we're still friends, and that's truly what matters at the end of the day. um in my view, the dispute, like, from the reffing side of things, went way too long, and I think it might have had something to do with the fact that we're these, like, two top end, like, teams, and smoke and, oh, have they been dethroned, and blah blah blah, but ultimately, like you said, it doesn't matter at the end of the day, because if you're a jerk human being, then it's like, no matter what you do in this hobby, it's like, it's none of that is going to matter, because we're all basing it down to the, like you said, integrity, being professional, and just being, following rule zero. I feel that more people just in life should go in adopting integrity, professionalism, and not being a jerk, that sort of thing. And so, getting the chance to see that from the sidelines, and how you two managed it as best as you could, was really cool. Getting to see that, and showed a level of trust in and of itself. The two competitors on opposite teams, and I think that spoke volumes for the folks watching, especially the people who were just kind of seeing this thing going on in Maryland and didn't know what it was all about. Because it could have been, the behavior could have been a totally different route. Could have been much more, like, aggressive, like how some sports are, but that's not how you two carried yourselves, and I thought that was pretty neat. And then the other thing, excuse me, the other thing, sorry, I'm a joking here, but CFT, right? And it's more like, I just wanted to know what happened, for, like, between the two of you and your interactions. So, Jesse, you know what I'm going to be talking about. So we played PKI, and I was coaching, and Jesse needed information from me, and
Ah, that ghost snake.
yeah, I like, and Mantic. I saw Mantic's footage, and I look, and I'm like, I feel this moment so hard, and he interacts to it, and I'm like, I'm happy for that vantage point, because I could see it, and I'm like, that was painful to watch.
It was painful to experience.
But like I swear on my life, because it was like that was that slight gust of wind that day. I like swear
Hmm.
on my life, I thought I saw like someone's butt just hitting on the cover, and I'm trying to see their kill box, and I like swear on my life that I thought it was, it was the 3 count. So you go and you rush up to try and take him out, and nobody's there, and I could see your reaction afterward, and like that wasn't even when you were talk to me afterward. Like just the way that your hands were, I was like, "Yep, that was this is bad. This is really really
Yeah,
bad."
that
So
that was as frustrated as I've ever felt at
yeah.
at a Nerf game in the moment.
Oh yeah. No, you didn't even have to. You didn't even have to talk to me that day.
That's
I saw your
yeah.
hands and I
I
knew.
could see it spectating, and I was like, I've never seen Jesse get so upset about a play than that. I was like, oh crap.
Jed, like ultimately, what wound up happening was Jed sees that I'm upset, and then he's like, "Do you want to walk to the parking lot?" And I was like, "Yes," and he was like, "Okay." Um, and Jed and I are pretty tight, so he goes and he's talking to me, whatever, and then I eventually come back onto the field. And then we're dart sweeping, and then Jesse wants to talk to me. So as we're dart sweeping, we're kind of just like talking about it. And then eventually, for the break that seemed to go on for eternity, I went to the bathroom just myself, and I kind of just collected myself, and I was like, I realized that it was just kind of coming back to the basics of like, all right, got to shake it off. Team's counting on you. You got this. You know what you got to do, and then just getting back into it for the second half for the eliminations. Um, I will say for how you guys handled yourselves, like it helped me kind of like come back into what was important for CFT. Is it safe to say that even though it was a smaller tournament, these were some of the best teams that we were all fighting against?
It
Oh
was
yeah.
highly competitive, especially when you made it into I'd say top 4 teams. That was Tide, Orca, Smoke, and PKI, and then there's gotta be one other one I'm
There was 6 teams
forgetting.
total. I think I'd say the
Yeah,
four those 4 teams were definitely the ones that were crushing it, and have been crushing it at other tournaments too. So it's like, yeah, there was only 6 teams compared to some of the tournaments that have 10 to 12, but it was 4 of those were some of the teams that are at the top of every tournament across the country consistently.
yeah.
So
Those are all teams that will definitely like
put on a show.
clean you out pretty quick if you're not paying attention.
Yeah,
So to Archer's point, I think all of us at some point, the ghost snake was the thing that upset me that day, but like we had everybody had something or another that was upsetting, and whenever you play a really intense tournament, that's going to happen. The question is how do you handle it both personally and as a team. And what I really liked about how uh, Smoke pulled together at CFT was um, I, we pretty much didn't even wait to necessarily feel better on our own. We just started uplifting other team members,
Mm-hmm.
and since everybody did that, everybody felt better faster than they would have on their own, and just kind of locked it back in for the finals. And well, the footage speaks for itself. Um, I think. Uh, like I said, that was the most upset I felt in the moment, because I had so much adrenaline, and to go from that to like, wow, there's nobody here where my coach said there was somebody there. It was like it was just a really intense feeling. um but my priority in the moment was like, don't make things worse for my team, right? If I just yell and scream, throw my blaster around, whatever, like I've seen people like throw their blasters after games, and I just don't think that's an appropriate way to behave as a competitor, and especially not as a team captain. With people like your teammates are watching you for what kind of behavior is acceptable. I
Oh
wouldn't
yeah.
want to see one of my team members chucking their stuff around, so I'm not doing it either. I'm going to behave, um, the way I would like them to as well. And then that has a positive effect on everybody else, and then when I'm talking with Archer afterwards, we're having a no fault discussion about it, right? I don't care who did what wrong. I care what we can change for
I did
next
know,
time.
but yes.
The goal is not to make anybody feel bad, especially because honestly, like a lot of people will make themselves feel bad already. Like I don't have to pile on. Archer's already going to come away from that in a rough headspace. So really, whatever teammate this happens with, like I want them to know, like I still trust them. I'm still going to rely on them. It's okay to fail. It's okay to make some mistakes, because the fact is, when you're competing this hard, you're going to make mistakes. I screw up all kinds of things. I watch the footage back. I go, wow, I should have seen that, or I should have done that better, or I called this out wrong. And honestly, if you're not screwing up, like you're just not pushing yourself hard enough. So the fact that we're at that level is a good thing, and you have to accept that some of those mistakes are going to happen, and that's just the price of competing that hard.
Quite frankly, and we could talk about it a little bit if you guys want. The round with us versus Red Tide was insane. And I remember the very last round that we did, it ultimately paid off in spades because we were down by 3. You brought us together, and your words were, and I quote, "If we don't get this flag, we're cooked." And the call was to go for tea. And then once you walked off, it was just me and Zoe. And I have footage of this where Zoe just goes to me and says, "I'm going for flag." And she meant it like flag side. But the moment she said that, it clicked in my head. I was like, okay, we're doing this. Like I knew we weren't going to stop at T, but we
Hmm.
just went right for Dorito, and then that's how, and then that's how things panned out the way that they did. And it was. I'm convinced that entire round between us and Orca and the whole collab that we got going of Magic Space Wells was just all collective trust. As I think without that trust, I'm not sure if we would have pulled it off because we didn't practice this. We didn't, it wasn't anything that was rehearsed. It was just, all right, here's trust. We're following these vibes. And
I
let's
think
hope it
that's
works.
I think that's actually the secret sauce behind both of our teams is when you practice together a lot and you trust each other a lot, the plays just kind of come together. I don't need I've seen people show up with like a playbook an inch thick, and I don't know about you, my brain's too smooth to remember plays under pressure, anyways.
Yeah.
So,
A lot of it's in the moment, and it's analyzing what's going
mhm,
on, and calculated risk, and going from there. Like we have our breakout, like we know where we're going off start ideally, but maybe
mhm,
a big volley of darts comes in and that cover's not safe. I'm gonna roll left and get somewhere else. Like
mhm.
everything after that initial whistle blow, you're flying by the seat of your pants. Like you're doing your best, but it's not something that, oh yeah, if I do this every time it's just gonna work. Like now this you're playing every single round differently, and you got to adapt, and you got to trust your teammates to cover you for a play, or sometimes you have to just be like, I need that touch or I need that run, and there's nothing that's going to stop me, and you just got to go for it. And 9 times out of 10 you're probably not going to make it, but you got to risk it if you want to get the win on some of those rounds. So you just got to go.
If you're
You
going
got
to
to
full
do it.
send it either way, you might as well,
Yeah, commit.
you know.
Commit. If
Absolutely.
it's what you need to win, then just commit to it, because it's at least you tried.
Ragnarok is literally like a week and change away. So let's talk about that planning process a little bit. So y'all came together and we realized we got a ton of people who want to come, but we want to run under this banner because people know who we are under all of the banners under the sun. Um, yeah, what was that like? Assigning your rosters, booking flights, our beautiful Verbo in place, the podium soup, the physical podium soup that has been selected for this year's rag. Um, yeah, go for it. I'm just sitting objectively on that process, so I'm mildly intrigued myself.
Yeah. So I know, like, Orca, we had enough for a team. We wanted to go, and Jesse came to me kind of earlier this year and was like, "Hey, so smoke players are going, but we want to kind of mix in and kind of do some of that Magic Space Whales fun stuff, right?" And I'm like, "Okay, well, any of you try to play under the Orca banner a little bit?" And so we've got a couple Magic Smoke players. on the Orca team, and then we've got Magic Space Whales, which we've got a little bit of everything on that team, and that team's going to be a great mix. I'm really excited to see how some of the people that play together perform, and then some of the people that haven't, and seeing that mixture. So I think it's going to be really good. But yeah, you're bringing the best of the best, right? Like you're bringing from some of the top rosters in the hobby, people that consistently podium. And so from our Orca perspective, we're going to win. Like we want to win. We have not won first place. We have podiumed at every single tournament that we have been to since MFT 2023. So in the last two plus years, we have podiumed on everything we've attended. And so we've gotten the seconds and the thirds, but we want that first place. And looking at the roster,
It's
we're
quite dangerous.
we've got some threats on the roster, and I'm excited. The new rule changes and adjusting to the field layout. We've had quite a few practices at Sunshine Dart League. We've made some good adjustments. We've found some really key things that we're going to be able to do and communicate those across the board. So we're really excited. And then not just with that, but also like hopefully we can pull through with the first, but then also Magic Space Whales getting on the podium too, because I think we have some crazy talent on that team, players that have proven themselves, that were on every single. I think we have a player from every single podium position from MFT on that team, which is crazy. So we have teams from the first, second, and third place team on that roster. So that's going to be pretty nuts. So I'm excited for that and to run that back. And also, I need us to win because I have a personal bet with Cameron that if Orca wins at RAG, that we get him for next year RAG, which for those that don't know, Cameron is Ronin Swords, and he normally plays at RAG on Red Tide, and at MFT he plays on Orca. So to my knowledge, he's also made Danny and the Red Tide folk aware of this bet that he definitely made while sober. Anyways, he's sticking to it. And so we're going to go out, we're going to crush that, and we're going to win. And then we're going to come back with him on the Orca roster in 2026.
What was his end of the bet?
So it was just that if we win, he would play with us. That he presented that to me, and I said deal. So that yeah,
Seems like a win-win right there.
yeah, it's a win-win for me. So for the team, like, because he comes out, he crushes it every year at MFT. He was an absolute animal last year at RAG when we were watching him play on Tide. So he's a great player that we have shared custody with Tide right now. So I'm hoping that we go out there and we stun some folks and do a good job and get him for 2026 at RAG, because I think that'd be pretty incredible. Also, have a bet with a coworker, and I don't feel like wearing Ohio State colors to my presentation in a few months, so I also need us to win for that case. But that's anyways. So there's a lot riding on this one. But yeah, no, we've
No
got
pressure.
yeah, no pressure at all. But
I mean, we
we've
did
got
take
two
out
two
Tides,
great
so
rosters.
for CFT, so that's a strong start.
Yeah, I think we're gonna go out there and we're gonna kick some butt, and especially last year going into RAG, having had one practice the week prior and then going and getting third against some teams that practice year round and are well known for this game mode, well versed in the game mode, have contributed greatly to the hobby's growth in that game mode. That is King of the Hill. So to have multiple practices under our belt this year, and the roster depth that we have for this year, I'm excited. I'm really excited. As far as the planning goes and all that, getting ready for the event, I've been super grateful for Archer, Jesse, Ton, Clint, all these people that have done a lot of the planning work for this trip. Whereas normally I do more of the planning work and try and contribute to that. But with some work stuff in the past couple of months, I've been kind of MIA on some of the planning stuff, and so we've had great people like you two and Ton and all these great members, team members that have stepped up and interacted and wanted to be a part of the planning and getting things there and getting everyone organized. That's been a huge relief, and I've really appreciated that assistance.
Sharing space in some kind of shared living arrangement is going to save everybody money, which ultimately saves your competitors stress going into it. The finances are the hardest part of this for a lot of people, and just taking some of that burden off them is good for other people like me with limited amounts of executive energy, having somebody come along and say, "Hey, here's where we're staying. You just have to send me a Venmo." Like that helps people out a lot. I try to do that for my team where possible, but especially with the whole like 14 player mixed roster, it's been really helpful to have bunch of other folks step in and help out, and that's really huge, as far as just like making things actually happen without overstressing any one person. With a team this cooperative, there's always somebody to help out. We had a similar experience at BPOC this last year. We did a big like 15-person Verbo, and I just said, "Hey, I'm not gonna be able to do it all. Can somebody handle food? Can somebody handle like parking and carpools? I just delegated out a bunch of stuff, and I didn't even have to assign specific people to things. I just asked, "Can somebody do this or that?" And people stepped up because they want to see it succeed. Yeah, at Magic Smoke we like our rental vans. Being able to do a little road trip together is always
It
fun.
helps when you remember to
Um,
bring your blasters too.
yeah, that would be good. Did you? What was it you
You
showed up to
still killed
with
it
nothing?
CFT.
somehow.
Or oh
It
yeah,
was
yeah.
CFT. I showed up with nothing. So for those listening,
You still killed it with a thread of hope, So
I did not have a blaster because I left my ID at home, so I couldn't check a bag. By a miracle, I made it on the plane. They let me fly after answering a bunch of security questions, which I never ever want to do ever again. And then I'm on the plane getting ready for takeoff. Like, all right, so who can bring me a blaster? Get to the Verbo that night and am pulling people's builds apart to get the scope that I want and the setup I want and trying different things in the backyard. And then went and ended up using Brandon's links at the tournament, which I'd never held before until the night prior. So yeah,
Jesse, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, and I will jump back to you, Jeremy. But when we drove Sarah to the airport at 3 a.m. because you're like, I need someone to keep me awake. So we're talking, and if you genuinely didn't notice, please tell me because I will feel better about myself. So we're driving. We take Sarah to the airport, and then as we're coming back, like we're having like full conversations, and we're like having like a heart to heart moment. But meanwhile, I'm like fighting with every fiber in my soul to stay awake.
I think this CFT. I think before my flight, I slept like an hour because we ended up hanging out and staying up, and I think I slept for 1 hour before leaving for the airport. This year's CFT would not
That's not
recommend.
good for you.
No, it was awful. I took some nappies on the plane, but it wasn't great.
Yeah, Archer, I didn't notice you falling asleep. I knew it was getting late. I could see there was like a little bit of struggle, but yeah, you being able to just chat with me, yeah, during that drive was good because if I'm by myself in a car at 5 a.m. Staying up, I might wrap it around a tree or something.
If two teams did want to do that, maybe two West Coast based teams would be something insane. If they decided to make a collaboration, similar to Magic Space Wells, what would be your best bit of advice in getting started?
Make sure that it's a group of people that want to have fun, like that have some common interest, but at the end of the day, they're genuine people that want to enjoy their free time and have fun. I think that's the biggest thing with this group is you have some people that are more competitive than others. You have some people that want to go for that win a little bit more than others. You have some of those people that are, going there to compete and have fun, but not necessarily as much about that first place spot. But at the end of the day, every single person that we hang out with and interact with is because we want to enjoy each other's company, have a good weekend, hang out, talk about things, enjoy our hobby. And so it's all very genuine interactions. And every time we go on one of these trips too with the bigger group, I get to know someone in the group better than I did before. So I get to hang out and chat with different people and build more genuine connections. And I think that's the biggest thing is we play competitive, but we also are all there to have a good time and enjoy each other's company. So that's crucial.
Yeah, I would largely just echo what Jeremy said, which is that, the people need to be friends with each other. They need to be just of a cooperative mindset. If everyone's there to help each other out and uplift one another, you're going to have everything else will flow. Honestly, like you can teach somebody to be good at nerf, you can teach them to grill, you can teach them to book a verbo. Like all of those are simple learn skills. You can't teach somebody to want to be nice to other people. You can't teach somebody to be a cooperative person. So looking for choosing your roster, around those kinds of personalities, and considering how you're meshing them together would be the biggest thing. Because I think with the right people, anything you do is going to be fun. Whether we're going to Disney or we're just sitting in a hot tub, or just like even just like waiting at the airport can be a good time. It doesn't matter where you are. If you're with friends, you're home. So
Anything you two are looking forward to at RAG this year? And any Magic Space Whales events in the future?
I get to check off National Park number 10. So I'm a huge national park enjoyer. Love spending time outside, hiking and biking and whatnot. And so RAG is not too far from Pinnacles National Park, and so I'll be 10 for me. So I'm really excited for that. Getting a few of the guys to go on a hike, and hopefully Archer can join us because that would be really, really awesome.
Oh, I'm coming. I'm coming.
Yes, sweet. Okay, hype. Awesome. I've got a great hike picked out for us. I'm so excited.
Let's go.
So that's like really, really high on the list. Honestly, that's like winning the tournament and that are I don't know. They're like tied up there. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to that, and then just hanging out with people and having fun. Like the HVHVZ on Saturday. It's going to be what it is, but it doesn't even matter what the rule set is. It doesn't matter whether the humans win or zombies win or whatever, because I know I'm going to go get a hangout with friends all day. So it's going to be awesome.
We are bringing the flags, yes?
Oh, always.
Oh, of course.
Stay packed.
Naturally.
And
It's
Wooga, the
actually
inflatable whale, will also be there.
Let's go.
Amazing. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's possible to get an inflatable Eldarto, but if we could, I would.
I'm sure someone in China can make it for you.
Bring a hat.
Amazing.
Just bring a hat.
This year at RAG, I'm looking forward to competing real hard. I think on the nerf side, I think the changes made to the game format overall is appealing. I think the buckets being on the midline is brilliant. And I'm looking forward to see how the field plays, and it's a really good group of people we have to play with, so it's going to be fun. Both teammates and I know a lot of the folks that we're going to be competing against as well. Looking forward to some strong competition and good times with those guys. And then on the non-nerf side, it's never a dull moment with these people. So that they're whether we're hiking or hanging out at the Verbo or whatever it is we end up doing, it's gonna be fun. It's just a good group, so looking forward to the hangouts before and after all the events.
I don't know if the Orca jerseys are coming in time for RAG, so if they do, that's another thing to be excited
I'm hoping
for.
they're supposed to ship. They're supposed to ship today. Normally they take between 3 to 5 days. We changed the address to Clint's house in Clint's apartment in California, so we're really hoping it's gonna be close as usual.
If not, I want a T-shirt that has your best hand drawn in marker impression of an orca drawn on it.
Oh God,
I will wear it the whole
time. It's gonna be really bad. I am not an artist. I am so far from an artist. Yeah.
So you're the perfect person to do it.
Oh boy, it's gonna come out looking worse than some of those BPOC logos that we were bouncing around. I'll draw my best Porca on there for you.
Amazing.
Alrighty, friends, before we wrap up this episode of Late Podcast, we're going to start with Jesse this time. Where can we find you? Where be thy socials?
All right, so I am terminally on Discord, although that's something I'm trying to do a little bit less of, but you can find me there as Just Plain Fun. That's JUSTPLANE, like airplane. It's a pun, get it? And then FUN. I'm in many Discords. I have most of them muted, though, so ping me directly if you just at me or reply to one of my messages if you want to get a hold of me. Otherwise, I can be found on YouTube. My channel name is Flankmaster. The URL will be YouTube facebook.com/flankmaster37, just like my jersey. So, yeah, feel free to check me out there. I upload videos when I feel like it, which is sometimes twice in a week and sometimes not for 2 to 3 months, but I try to keep them high energy and exciting. I'm not going to post just like uncut gameplay that you have to slog through. So, should be fun. Check it out. Appreciate it.
You can find me on Discord, Junior7, nothing fancy. And then YouTube is Junior7 Nerf. I'll post some of my competitive footage nowadays. That's pretty much all I post on there from tournaments. So that's kind of something normally I'll share with people, kind of like we talked about earlier when they ask about the hobby, because you can show them quick POV footage, kind of what's going on. And then Instagram, you can find the Orca Company Instagram, Orca__ company, and we post a lot of the team's adventures, whether that's competitive or when we're doing stuff and hanging out, posting things on the story, or if we're playing HVZ and some of the schools that we go to around here in Florida. So you can give those a follow. And I'm in a lot of the Nerf servers on Discord, like I said, as Junior7. So feel free to ask me questions or DM me or anything like that, and I'll try my best to answer. So.
Man, maybe I should be doing more episodes on teams, because I don't know about you guys, but this was a lot of fun. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules and coming on. I really do appreciate it, and I'm literally looking forward to seeing you next week.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's a week away. Nuts.
Yeah.
I got some packing to do. Oh
Same.
boy.
We all have
Same.
some packing to do.
Yeah, the bags are empty. That's going to be a problem. Need to figure that out.
All right, while we're busy packing away, guys, stay tuned on here, because up next we're going to be having our next episode that I promise you will not be waiting 10 months for. For the next episode, we're going to have a couple podcasters in the scene recapping about Ragnaroktoberfest, the weekend itself, and why we need podcasts to continue spreading the wonderfully ridiculous world of foam flinging. Stay classy, stay awesome, and I will see you all in the next episode.